I see an Iridean egg on board. I see a Devil's Saw. Power of the Wild. Mark of the Lotus. Savage Roar. Well, it looks very much like a Token Druid, right? And living mana, buffing the board, going face, doing lots of damage. I'm still a Token Druid, right? But I see a Jade Golem on board. I see Jade Spirit. I see Aya in hand. So does that make me a Jade Druid? So what deck am I playing today? I'm playing a Jade Aggro Druid on the Wild Mode ladder. So, a very strange and interesting amalgamation, combination of, or merging of, the best cards from Token Druid and the best cards from Jade Druid. Is that one way of looking at this deck, perhaps? You're looking for an early start with cards like Sir Finley, Iridean Egg, Devil's Saw Egg. You then aim to buff the board with Power of the Wild, Mark of the Lotus. Eggs that attack are pretty interesting because your opponent is confused as to what to do. Do they kill the eggs because they can attack? But if you kill the eggs, you get a 4/4 Iridean or a 5/5 Devil's Saw. So yes, buffed eggs can provide interesting situations, interesting conundrums on the board in terms of how your opponent tries to respond. You have ramp in this deck with Jade Blossom, and as you head into the mid game, you can buff minions up with Fungal Mancer. You have living mana as well. And then of course your most expensive plays are Lotheb, Aya and Jade Behemoth, and at this point your opponent's really confused because they thought you were a token deck, but you're actually now morphing into a Jade deck. You can then shuffle Jade Idols into your deck and then use Jeeves to draw them and refill your hand, and then you are fully committed to the Jade Druid line of play as you start to summon those big Jade Golems onto the board. And of course, if you do ever get to keep a wide board with this deck, Savage Roar or even double Savage Roar can just be enough to finish the game. Now, I was really nervous about playing this deck, so I played a load of casual games and I won quite a few of them, so I thought, okay, let's try this on the ladder and see what happens. So, we're going up against a Warlock here, and I'm happy to keep Finley as a 1-drop. Greedy Sprite is ramp, so I'd like to take advantage of that as early as possible. I sent the Jade Idol back into my deck, and the reason for that is I really don't want to see Jade Idol until a bit later on in the game, when I'll have an opportunity to shuffle those Jade Idols and then perhaps draw them with Jeeves. And that's a point in the game when you really want to start building up those Jade Golems. But early on, I think the focus is to play like a Token Druid. And develop those tokens, make him think you're a Token Druid, and then surprise him in the mid to late game when you start playing those Jade cards. Now, the Warlock hero power, I think, in this situation is the best hero power. He's either a Reno lock or a Cube lock, and he's probably going to have AoE. So we play our tokens, he'll clear them, we play some more, he clears again. But then we just keep tapping, we draw into more resources, and we stand a better chance of winning the game. Now, I'm going to commit to Living Roots here, just to keep the pressure going, and test for AoE as well. I could have tapped on that turn, I could have coined out Sprite, but I don't think that was worthwhile. Doomsayer here is something that I can't get through. So I could play the Sprite and get the ramp. I think that's fine. Sure, the Sprite's going to die. It won't have had a chance to attack. But we get the ramp. I think that's reasonable, and that allows us to play Living Mana next turn. So committing the Living Mana here, I think, is okay. even if he has AoE, we can still play cards next turn. We still have stuff to do. And if we ever run out of stuff to do, we have Jeeves and we can tap. So I think that's fine. I think we have to keep the pressure up. And on this turn, we are testing for Hellfire. Now, if he Hellfires for 4 mana, he's likely to float 1 mana, potentially. So that's a good thing. The fact that he didn't trade makes me think that he's got AoE here. Or maybe he didn't trade because he didn't want to give me the extra mana crystal back. But there's Hellfire, and he hesitated for a bit there.
Trust me.
So Mistress of Mixtures gets played. Makes me wonder if it's Reno deck. And I'm not going to shuffle just yet. I want to shuffle when I know I'm going to be in a position to play Jeeves. And Skull of the Minari now makes me think Cube Lock. Unless he's a Reno Lock with more demons, potentially. And a change of plan here. I was going to shuffle that Jade Idol, but I actually prefer to get the Jade Golems going here, to keep them growing. We have another Jade Idol in the deck. I can shuffle that a bit later on. And this does look to be a cube lock because we've seen 2 Void Callers. And there's the Doom card. So he's looking to assert his presence on the board here. So we have a number of options. We can Fungal Mancer, buff up our board. We can Jade Behemoth and tap, potentially. Or we can Jade Behemoth, Mark of the Lotus, shuffle the Jade Idol. There are a number of options. So we're going to shuffle for sure here. We're going to play the Behemoth. And we're going to buff the board. Why this line of play? Well, I'm trying to empty my hand because I have Jeeves. So I've shuffled and I have Jeeves. We're going to be looking now soon to play Jeeves and start drawing those Jade Idols. Now maybe I should have done more to try and kill the Doom Guard. I don't know. Maybe I could have used the Fungal Mancer to buff something and kill it, because with the Doom Guard on board, if he gets a cube and Dark Pact, we're in a bit of trouble perhaps. But let's see what he's got here. There is a 4/7 taunt in the way. I guess theoretically he'd have to trade both minions in. That's pretty good value. We are slightly scared of what's going to come out of the Void Caller, though. Void Lord is a big possibility.
I wonder if...
So he could tap, perhaps, to draw a demon, then trade in the Void Caller. Void Lord, I guess, is not too scary in the sense that it only has 3 attack. But we have to work very, very hard to get through the 9 health. And that's what makes it annoying. So he taps. Does he get a demon? Will he trade? The rope's burning. He's taking his sweet time here. And... nothing. Okay, no demon in hand. Interesting. And he's cubed a Void Caller. That doesn't seem great for him, but maybe it's the only play he could make. So, we're in a position now where we can play lots of stuff and just push all that damage face. Playing very aggressively here. We want to kill him before the Void Lords come down. And before Bloodreaver Gul'dan then makes an appearance. Yeah, do 2 damage to your own face. He's desperately hunting here for some kind of a solution, but I think it's too late for him. What would save him here? I guess Defile could do a little bit of work. Wow. And he gets a 3/3 copy of my taunt. Usually you'd want to save that for a Void Lord or a cube with Doom Guards in it. But I guess he needed it for the Defile play. And the end is coming, apparently. Okay. So we tap and we get a Jade Idol. Fine. Can shuffle that. This is a good opportunity to shuffle, by the way. I fancy having a 5/5 on my next turn. And the question now is whether we commit to Jeeves. Jeeves will die. But we will draw 3 cards. And that is really good. Aya, board presence. Jade Idol, it's board presence. We're in a really good spot here. If he plays Gul'dan on this turn, what does he get back? He doesn't get a Void Lord back. And that's, to me, the key thing. Because he hasn't played a Void Lord yet. So you'll get some Void Callers, you'll get Doom Guard. That isn't the worst thing in the world. Because we can just go wide on the board with our Jade cards.
Well played.
So at 4 health, what can he do to survive here?
I wonder if...
He really would need Gul'dan, I think. That is a saving grace, or a Void Lord. Well, if he had a Void Lord, it would have come down because of the weapon. He has to play something proactive from hand that saves him here. That's a Doom Guard. Okay. Oh, and Zoth goes. And we can't kill him here. He's tapped. He's at 2 health.
Golems are a girl's best friend.
So you just go wide. I think that's the play. We just go wide and see what happens. If he plays Gul'dan, I think he's still dead, potentially. Ooh, he's targeting my face. What does that mean? Dark Pact? What does that do? It doesn't do anything. And that's it. He's dead. So in the end, it was the power of these Jade cards that really came through for me. So we started out as a Token Druid and we ended the game as a Jade Druid. It feels pretty good. So what do I think of this deck? It's a fun deck. I won quite a few of the casual games that I played. I've only played 1 game on the ladder with the deck because I was quite nervous piloting this on the ladder. What cards do I like and what cards don't I like in this deck? I like the Jade cards. Jade Behemoth I think is excellent. Aya is excellent. Jade Idol obviously combined with Jeeves, you know, if you can then draw, if you can shuffle a Jade Idol and then draw several Jade Idols, it's pretty awesome. Jade Spirit I'm not completely sold on. I think it's quite a slow card. Usually it's just a 2/3 body summoning a 1/1. Is that great for 4 mana? Not entirely sure. The eggs. Iridean egg I think is okay in this deck. I mean, the issue with eggs in general is that you play them, if you can't buff them, if you can't attack with them, they're just dead cards on board, right? I mean, they may stop your opponent from playing AoE, there is that, but if you can't buff them, they're kind of dead. And Devil's Saw Egg for 3 cost, I think, is rather slow. So is there a place for Devil's Saw Egg in this deck? If we didn't have Devil's Saw Egg, what else would we be playing? Would we actually be a token deck then? Or would we be more so a Jade deck? So yeah, Devil's Saw Egg, need to have a think about that. Fungalmancer, I think, is excellent though for buffing the eggs, so maybe there is some consideration there of keeping Devil's Saw Egg, because we do have the ability to buff it. There are a number of good buff effects in the deck. I mean, Mark of the Lotus, Power of the Wild, Fungalmancer, so I guess there is a good chance that you will draw into a buff effect if you have some eggs on board, so something further to consider. Living Mana. If they can't answer it, and if you have a Mark of the Lotus in hand for the following turn, that can just be lethal. I have fond memories of playing Token Druid, you know, what, a year ago, 2 years ago, playing Living Mana. They couldn't deal with it. Mark of the Lotus, and then eventually Savage Roar, just ending the game. Living Mana is not to be underestimated. It's a pretty cool card. The biggest issue though with it, of course, is Priest. Psychic Scream, shuffling the tokens back into your deck, and then of course they don't die, so you don't get your mana back. That is a pretty annoying. But hey, maybe with this deck you can still kill Big Priest, maybe, before they start bringing out their big threats. If they don't have Barnes on 4 or Shadow Essence on 6, maybe you stand a pretty good chance of just rushing them down with early tokens and maybe double Savage Roar. So, thank you very much for joining me, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. This deck is fun to play. Is it tier 1? Probably not, but it's fun. Okay, and you know, that's what I'm all about now at this point in the season. I've got to a rank that pleases me, so it's just all about having fun. If there are any cards that you would replace in this deck, do leave a comment in the comments section below. I would be very interested to hear your thoughts. And if you have any interesting deck suggestions, any fun but competitive decks that you're playing between ranks 5 and 1 on the wild mode ladder, feel free to leave some deck codes in the comment section, and you know, if the decks interest me, I'll consider playing them and maybe even featuring them on this channel. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you all again very soon for more wild mode fun.